Now, the last great Lord of Darkness was none other than one we know as Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler was a divine instrument. Adolf Hitler played his role well. He wore the dark hat as opposed to the white hat. Well, then comes the Lord of Darkness, and in this case we're talking about Hitler, to see how well we had learned in the past from the Lords of Light. As we know, Hitler was a metaphysician supreme. As he was a boy, he studied studiously for many, many years what we know today as esoteric or metaphysical things. He also, in addition to the many understandings he had of Beril and many other powers which were, of course, used by the ancients, he had a morbid fascination with the spear of destiny. That was, of course, the Longinus spear that pierced the side of Christ. Hitler knew that anybody, whether it be the Lords of Darkness or the Lords of Light, should they have that spear, they were almost certain to win the war. Now, he wanted that spear for so long, and there was one in a man by the name of Rudolf Steiner, who lived here in Germany also, and he and Hitler both had a morbid fascination for that spear of destiny. Later, we know that Rudolf had to flee for his life because Hitler felt that he would get the spear and he wouldn't have it. So, when we talk about Hitler, we're talking about, in my understanding, a divine being. He was the last Lord of Darkness. And after I had explained it to them, then of course they accepted it. And with the cessation of hostilities, of course, in Europe, Germany has capitulated. And of course there was an immediate interest and concern to get there as quickly as possible to capture the personnel, the documents, and also the instruments called the spacecraft which Hitler had created. Now, that was of primary interest to the Soviets, the Americans, and, of course, the English. As it turns out, the Soviets were the first to reach Berlin, and they did get most of the documents supportive, of course, of that particular project. Secondly, the Americans arrived, and they got the second amount of documents, but they did get the most of the brains, including von Braun. Now, we also discovered when we got to Berlin that the two craft which we were most interested in, the spacecraft which Hitler had, of course, built, were no longer there. Indeed, they had been disassembled by the SS, and they had been spirited out of the country aboard two submarines, and they spent 6 months at sea and finally ended up in what is now, or always has been, Argentina. From there, they were taken into Antarctica. But I was also talking about Hitler, and I also said that I didn't think he died in the bunker. She couldn't wait to talk to me, and later on we had a private interview, and she told me that she was the daughter of the former secret head of Argentina. And I won't mention her name on TV, but nevertheless, I know that it was all substantiated. She said that when she was a little girl, about 10 or 12 years old, she and her father, who was the head of the Secret Service of Argentina, were dining in an outdoor cafe. And he said, you see that man sitting over there? And she said, yes. He said, well, that's Hitler. You see the woman sitting next to him? That's Eva Braun, his wife. Hitler did not die in the bunker. So we have to assume then, as the spacecraft were being taken to Argentina, Hitler also went along with that and later set up his life in Argentina.